All right, so here's everything we need to know about To Kill a Mockingbird Chapter 5. So hopefully you've read Chapter 5 so we can really understand what's happening in the book. This chapter starts out with Scout still nagging Jem to stop the game about the Radleys. So Jem slows down playing the game as much as they were and then changes the names of all the characters to just try and make what they're doing a little less obvious. Jem and Dill are growing closer, and Scout kind of finds herself as the third wheel more often. She's on the outs, despite beating Dill up twice to try to get his attention. So she tries to avoid some of their plotting and schemes, although she risks Jem insulting her by calling her a girl. This seems to be Jem's go-to insult for Scout. They just kind of gang up two guys against one girl. Despite that, Scout is a girl. So, what do we expect from elementary school kids? Scout finds herself sitting on Miss Maudie's porch in the evenings talking with her. Miss Maudie is an elderly neighbor, and we get a picture of who she is and her role in the kid's life. So what do we find out about her? She lets the kids play in her yard and eat her grapes, called scuppernongs. She's a widow who loves gardening and the outdoors. She's friendly to the kids and will pop out her bridge work, which is dental work that holds a couple of false teeth. She makes the kids individual cakes when she bakes in the kitchen. She's a well-known baker in the area. Their conversation, as they're talking, turns to Boo Radley, and Scout has a lot of questions. Miss Maudie reveals that his real name is Arthur and that he is alive because she has not seen him carried out dead yet. Now, Scout says that Jem said he may have died and been stuffed up the chimney. Miss Maudie compares this morbid thought to something Atticus's brother Jack might say. It seems Miss Maudie and Jack have kind of a flirty, teasing kind of relationship. Miss Maudie dismisses all the talk about Boo as just gossip and says he doesn't come out because he doesn't want to come out. They get into a discussion about the Radley family, and Miss Maudie says they are foot-washing Baptists. So it takes a little to understand this term. She's not talking about your typical Christian or Baptist. This term is applied to people who go so overboard about religious rules that everything that's enjoyable is looked at as wrong or sinful. They take a very literal interpretation of certain parts of the Bible. So they're called foot washers, as they would mimic Jesus when he washed the disciples' feet in the Bible, which was to show his humility and his servant heart. So they do a similar kind of foot washing ceremony. Apparently, some passing foot washers have told Maudie that even her gardening is sinful. Another hard to understand quote is when Miss Maudie says, "Foot washers think women are a sin by definition." So this is a reference to Adam and Eve, where Eve convinced Adam to disobey God by eating the forbidden fruit. So she looks at the Radley house and says that the Bible can be more destructive in the hands of certain people, hard-hearted people like Mr. Radley, than alcohol in a more gentle person like Atticus. So keep in mind, Miss Maudie is not condemning faith or religion, as she says she herself is just a Baptist. The conversation closes with another key quote that speaks to another theme in the book, the difference between integrity and hypocrisy. So integrity is the trustworthiness of one's character, that one's words and actions line up. Atticus is the most prominent example of integrity in the novel. We will see some hypocrites. Miss Maudie says that Atticus is the same in the house as he is on public streets. This insight, this is what tells us Atticus's public face and his private face are consistent, so that one can rely on his words to match up with what he does, his deeds. Scout waits up the next day to discover Jem and Dill are devising a plan. They try to get Scout to go away, but when she won't, she has to agree to do what they say. So the plan is to give a note to Boo by putting a note in the shutters using a fishing pole. Scout and Dill are to be lookouts, and Dill has a bell to ring if anyone is coming. The note asks Boo what he does in the house all day and offers him ice cream if he comes out. Once at their posts, it takes so long for Jem to get the note into the shutter that Scout comes back and finds that he can't get the note off the pole. At some point, Dill starts ringing the bell, but it's because Atticus is already there. So Atticus presses Jem to find out what is he up to, and then lectures him about leaving the Radleys alone, giving them their space, that if the Radleys wanted to talk to them, they would invite them over. So during the lecture, Atticus slips in that he doesn't want to see them putting on the Radleys' life story for the neighborhood to see. Jem tries to clarify what they were doing, and we find out Atticus was using a lawyer's technique to get Jem to actually admit that they were acting out the Radleys' life on the front porch. So this flusters Jem, but Atticus reminds Jem that, didn't you want to be a lawyer? When Atticus can't hear him, Jem says he's not so sure anymore that he wants to be a lawyer. He's kind of embarrassed that he was tricked into admitting what they were doing. So this chapter really rounds out our understanding of Radley history and lets us know that not everyone buys into the rumors and gossip. Miss Maudie gives a compassionate version, tying into the main theme of the book that we've talked about. We also see Atticus trying to teach them to be more tolerant and compassionate with the Radleys as well. We also see the kids' continuing fascination with the mysterious neighbors, even though Scout more reluctantly participates at this point. We can see with their plan to give a note to Radley that they're still innocent and naive kids, kind of pushing the boundaries that adults are placing around them in their lives. All right, any questions? Go ahead and comment those in the bottom, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Take care.